Okay, so today what we are going to do a to-do app using Django and React. We're going to use Django based on Python in the backend, and in the front end, we're going to use React. So first of all, I want just show it is going to look like. So this is a to-do list that we are going to do, a simple base. Okay, it will be easy just to add new to-dos. We add here, more one to do, more another. And yes, and this is going directly to the database. So for example, if we refresh here, we still have the to-dos, and we have like some things. We have like the checkbox. So for example, if we toggle the checkbox, we are going to shift the status from incomplete to done. Each time that we add a to-do, we also have a date, new to-do, as you can see here. And we can also delete and edit. When we edit, we open do, edit. And if you come here, we have the test that it still remain. You can also close, which does nothing. Okay, this is what we are going to do. As we can see, we have and this is in the Django backend. This is all the list that we are using here. Okay, first of all, we are going to set up the project, and we are going to separate that webs, the backend in one folder and the front end in another folder. So let's actually let me show you how we're going to do this. Okay, now we are going to start the project. You can create that in any folder. I'm going to create here. So first, I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to name todo app, and I'm going to open my terminal here. So first, first step, we have to create a virtual environment. So to create a virtual environment, you do Python venv, and you give the name of the environment. I will just name it env. And as you can see, we create here environment. So now we need to activate it. So to activate, we just have to go to follow that path. So if I'm here, in my case, this is different for everybody, but in my case, I have NV script, and I'm going to activate NV. Okay, a typo scripts activate. Okay, and we can see that the environment is activated when you have the NV on here. Okay, so actually we did that step. So to activate the environment, you in my case, I'm doing that way. If it is a Mac, I believe it's NV, and besides here we have bin instead of scripts. And if you are using the Windows command, you don't need to use source. Okay, so now let's install Django. And Django is being installed. Okay, so Django is installed now, but since we are using the Django REST framework and we want to integrate it with React, we're also going to install the Django REST framework and the Django course headers. It's going to be necessary to integrate it with React. And let's install. Okay, so this is installed now. The next step is to start the project. So start the project, we do Django admin start project, and we are going to name it backend. Okay, as we can see, we have created the backend here. So now let's see the backend, and we just have to start a new app. So it's going to be Python manage.py start app, and we are going to name it todo. And as you can see here, we have like the backend with this main folder with the settings.py, and this is the new app that we create. Also the PI files. Okay, now we have the backend. We just have to install the React app. So for this, let's go to the root folder, to the to-do app, and for this, it's very straightforward to create. We're going to use the width to create the React app. So you just use to use that command line. This is the name of the folder that we're going to create, and this is to say that you want to create an app on React. Okay, the app was created. Now you just need to cd to the front end here, and let's install npm. And while install, as you can see, we have like the typical React folder where you have the source, the main, the app, but we are going to see that better in VS Studio Code. Okay, now that the npm is installed, I'm going to cd the previous folder to the root folder, just so we can finally open Visual Studio Code. And to open, you just use this in the terminal, cold and dot to open all. As you can see, we have here our main folder for the React app, and here we have the backend in Python. Now I prefer to work in the terminal on Visual Studio Code after doing the first install. So for now, let's open a new terminal, and we can open like more 3, because here is I like a terminal to run the Django server, one to run the React server, and the other two to use one for Django and one for React. Okay, so let's start the Django server, cd to backend here, and let's do Python manage.py run server. I have migration apply, but it's working. So as we can see, we have the Django server running on port 8000, which is that one. And here I will rename this RS for React server. We're going to cd to the front end, and we do npm run dev, and we have our React server running. Okay, let's do this, and we don't need that more. Okay, so we have on server for Django, which is working successfully, and on for React Vid, which is also working fine. Okay, now we have the main apps, the Django and the React running. So to finish we just have to do some modifications in the settings, and this is why we install the course headers, because we need to allow for the course origins. We need to tell Django then it can communicate with this port on React. Because what are we going to do? We are going to create our backend information on the Django server, and that information that in the database is going to be retrieved in the React. So for this, we have to state that you want the course headers. We're just saying to Django to allow from this port. And also, we can also not forget okay, we can also not forget to install the Race framework and the course headers in our settings, install apps. And here is going to be the to-do that we can see here, that it's apps. Actually, our name is to-do, it's not main. You just have to change this for to-do. And there is only one more thing to integrate the course headers, is actually to add the deadline here. It can be anywhere here, but we can use there. And okay, after now we have the Django app that is running, and also the React app which is running. So the things that this is the main setup that we do for all the Django and React projects. And what we're going to do, we are going to create some models here. After this, we are going to create serializer that are going to go to views, and these views are going to be triggered in the URLs. Okay, so now we are ready. We will start to code our backend. So yes, let's clean this a bit. Okay, so first thing we have to do is to create a model for our app, or to-do app. And to create a model, we just have to create a class that we're going to name to-do, and we're going to inherit it from models.model. And now this is the information that we want to have in the database. For this, we'll create like a body. This is where our to-do is going. Let's create like a character field with max length, let's say 300. Let's create a Boolean field to say if the task is complete or not. So you just have to do like model.Boolean field, and let's make the default equal false, because you are not starting with the task complete. After that, let's make the updated. This is for when the date when we update the to-do. So for this, you are going to use the data time field It's going to be auto now here. And if you want to see the extensions that I'm using for autocomplete and all that stuff, usually use like you have like the Python, IntelliSense, Pylance. I'm also going to use Tailwind IntelliSense, and you also want to do that for you also want that one for the React, and also that one. Okay, next we have the body complete. Let's also create the created. This is the date when we create. So let's use the datetime field again. Now we don't want this. We want to the auto now add equal to true. This means that it's going to, each time that you create an instance of the class, in other words, if you create a to-do, it will automatically create the date for that to-do. Okay, so now the model, it's done. So now with that model, we have to serialize it, which is to convert, which means to convert it for a JSON object. And to do this, we are here and we create a new file going to be named serializers.py. Okay. And now that you are ready, have installed the race framework, we just have to import the serializers from the Django race framework. Let's also import the models from all the previous files. We're going to import the models, and you are going to create the class of the serializer. So we're going to name it todo serializer, and let's say serializers model serializer, and the model serializer allows us to use all that fields to populate our serializer. And after we just have to create this class meta, and the model that you are going to use is the to do, and the fields, we can choose the fields that we want, but in that case we want all of them, so we just do fields dot fields all. Okay, so now we have the backend for the to do. It's very easy. So now we did the models first here. With that models, we are going to populate the serializer. It's actually to convert this in the serializer. It's going to be easy to visualize after we see this. And now we have to create the views. Okay, the views can be very complicated or very easy, depending on which views we are using. In this case, we are going to use the model view set. It is like the easiest way to create a CRUD application API using Django, which is the last code that you are going to use. I'm going also to do another one with the API view, but in that case, we want to maintain things simple. So I'm going to use the view sets. So just have to import the view sets from the React framework. And also let's import our serializer that you created, and also our model. Put something here. Serializers from also that way. From all, let's import models. Okay, we just have to create the view now. The view, let's going to set to do view set, and we're going to inherit it for our model view set. Okay, so what we need for the view set, first we need the query set. So this is a field that we are going to retrieve all the information from our model. To do objects dot all. And the next step is to pass our serializer class. That's we're going to retrieve from our file serializers. Okay, and for our backend, it's only this. This is for the to-do app is the only thing that we are going to need. So since you are using view sets, this will allow us to create all the CRUD operations for our to-do app. Okay, so I think the audio is better now. So the only step that we need to finish our backend is to create the URLs. So for this, we just need to, we're going to name our main URL API. And here we're going to use the include. Let's include the to-do dot URLs. Just need to import something here. First is the include, because we could use the URL here, but we want to create here file urls.py. Okay, so I'm getting this to-do.urls. Okay, this file does not exist yet. It exists now. Okay, and after we copy things here, let's create the URLs. Actually, when using the view set, we don't need the let me see. Oh, oops, this is here. We want actually to go here. We are not creating URL patterns, but you are using a router, and the router is going to create all the CRUD URLs for us. So first we need to create the router. To be routers dot default router. But before this we need to import. Let's also import the views. From all import views. And now from REST framework import routers. And now the only thing that you have to do is to register the views here. Router.register to do to be views dot to do view set, the name of the view, and let's say the base name is going to be todo. Yes. Partners plus equal Okay, this line of code just is used to extend the router register here in the URL patterns. Okay, and think we have everything. Actually, let's do something before. Let's go here on the admin.py to register our model. So to do normal import models. Okay, this is working. So we want to do some things. Okay, let's restart our server. We can see here. Yes, and I forgot here what is. Okay, no, it's good. Why? Okay. Voila, now it's good. Yeah, server is running well. You just have to do the migrations first. I kind of postpone it, but let's do that now. So let's go here. This is why I like to have 4 terminals, one for the server or for the Django commands, or for the React server, and another one for the React commands. So let's edit the backend here. It's going to be Python manage.py make migrations. Okay, everything is on, and now we just have to migrate. This will allow us to create our database in SQL. Okay, so everything is useful. So now if we go here, we don't have more errors. And restart the server again. Yeah, everything is running smoothly. So let's run here. We are going for 2 places. First, you're going to the admin. Let's go for the API. Okay, as we can see, we have the API that is running from API with the base name todo, but we don't have any data now. So what's happening here? Yeah, each time that we are going to that URL to API todo, it's going to trigger that views, and that views, they are going to do all the operations. First, they are going to retrieve the to-dos, and after we can delete, edit, or even add more data. But first, let's add some data in the Django admin. You have to create a super user first. Python manage.py create per user. Call that Danny. No need password. Yes. Okay. Your super user was created. So now let's come here. Yeah, so now our backend is finished. As we can see here, we have our to-dos. Here, there is no data. Let's add some data. Okay, so let's say that task 1, save. to do task 2, save another, say that to do 3. Okay, but I don't like that format. We prefer to add, you can add other styling. Yes, so to add the string representation, let's to define one. We actually don't need this. Define string and let's say self dot path. And now if we come here, yes, we have like the body in of the to-dos in our admin page. And now if you refresh here, we have all the information here. Task 1, task 2, task 3. We can add new mores. For example, let's say let's create in raw data about completing to do for, let's say complete through, we post, and there is our recently new data. And you can see this is the updated and created, which is the same at the moment. And let's go back. Now, if you want to edit or delete, we can just put the ID here. This is what the view set is doing, is giving the detailed representation with only that line of codes. So there's a lot of stuff going behind, but with this, we have all the methods allow. So to get the list of everything, we are going to the Serializers API to do. And to go to a detail view, you just have to put here the ID. And we can see here. So for example, let's just to idea, let's make a patch request. And now we have edited the body. If we come here, let's say we go for the to do 3. Let's delete. And as you can see here, the 3 was deleted. Let's make here task 5. Post a new one, and the new task was created. Okay, so the API, it's working. We could see that in Postman, but I think here it's enough. So the only thing that you have to do now is to create the design, the front-end design of the application. You are going to do is with React. So all of the data, this is the API that we created, and we are going to fetch the data here, so we can manipulate and create our to-do app on React. Okay, now that we have finished the backend from our to-do app, which is here, we have to do like some, let me see if it's running, some cleanup of this. And let's close everything because we don't need close all here. Front end source. Okay, style. We don't want style because here we have to do still something. We are going to do styling with Tailwind CSS and Daisy UI to help us with components. It's going to be much quicker to achieve our design that we want, and I have to install Tailwind in that way. Okay, no style. This is still working, and let's clean this. Cleaned, cleaned, clean. Maybe you are going to need the use state. Okay, so we need to install Daisy UI. So now we are going into our for terminal. I told you that all the terminal has any usefulness here. So let's cd to the front end, and you have to install Tailwind. We also have a tutorial about installing Tailwind CSS in a quick way, but this is our cheat sheet. So with npm, you just have to copy this. Yeah, still installing. Okay, now that this was installed, let's keep installing things. Let's copy. Init. Okay, with this we create this. Now you just have to add this on the content. So we copy here. Yes, in the content. Here. Here. Okay. It's done. And now you just have to add this on our index.sh file. And yeah, it's only this. Like in that way, Tailwind, it's not so complicated to install if you just have the copy paste. Let's do the quick alert to see if everything is doing. Let's see. I don't know if the setup is right. Okay, so you can see when, for example, I edit one thing in an element, it's also going to edit on the end. It's also an extension that I have, which I think is that one, if I'm right. Okay, so here let's class name. See if it's set up correctly. Okay, no, it's not yet set up properly. Okay, checking one thing more. My class name, say text by Excel. Okay, do test center. Okay, it disappeared because we also have another extension that is that one. Tailwind CSS IntelliSense is help us to autocomplete. And nope. Okay, the problem was just that we had not to restart the server. So I just did this. I restart the server again. I quick refresh, and everything was running smoothly. So, okay, let's do some styling with this. Let's do some padding to RAM. Let's also do a minimum height full screen. It's going to be unrendered viewport, view height in that case. It is what I like about using that extension and Tailwind. Everything is very logical, so we don't need to just need to know a little bit, and after it's It's quite okay. So this is what we want, but not hello world. We want like the to-do lists, to do, which is the that one. Let's create a little nav component because you want that at the top. Even it's not necessary, but let's say it's our nav component. Class name pt8. Voila. And now I think, yes, I think that's it, because now we are going to create the components. We are going to retrieve the components here, which is going to be to-do form and a table for our to-dos. So let's do this. So here, let's create not a file, folder name component. Yeah, it's good. Let's create table.gxs. Let's populate very quickly with that snippet. Good. And let's also create to-do form.gsx. And yes, you have to use the GSX form. Okay. So now let's go to the main app. Let's import the to-do form. Let's import table. And, and what we want is something like this. To do. Just see if it's running smoothly. Yeah. And table. Okay, as we can see, we are retrieving need these, neither these. We are retrieving the information here from that component in the parent one, the app. So, okay, now we have to create here a simple to-do form and also a table. So now let's go for the design. So for the design, let's first start with the table. For the table, we are going to use some icons. So we have to install React icons that we just have to look for. And let's just want is that way. Good. And here we can start to create the table. First, use the simple table in HTML, and after use the ads. We create a row, and we create some PHs. Yeah, let's say how much we need. Maybe 4 or 5. Say 4. And with the yet now you just need to create our body. Our body, same logic. We create a row, and if you create a row, you have to create the cells that will match the ones from above. And this is the simplest way. Let me just reduce the indented space. You can see better. Don't know which was the best, but I prefer that one. Okay, so let's install the React icons because you're going to use, let's see how it is. You don't have any information now, but no worries. We are in the front end, right? You can see here. Okay, npm install React icons. Let's just populate these first because we also need these. It's going to be checkbox, if I remember correctly. It's going to be the to do. That one states and data created. But also forget another one. You also need some actions. Okay, these are simple. Let's say check through to do lorem for, just create some lorem ipsum for us. Here we test that use, let's say done, that created, let's say 22 for of these, and the actions, let's just write here actions. Okay, so this is populated. Let me see if we have installed the React icons. Okay, perfect. Okay, we can start with making this table prettier using Tailwind. So we just to use like some basic class. Okay, so for here, let's create class name with, okay, lev 12. As you can see, is being better with 92%. And let's create the max width for Excel. Okay, so create our maximum width to 56 RAM. We just do one thing, because we are also want to create this responsive. So let's code here and visualize it just in that place. Okay, perfect. I like to go that way because you can visualize on the smartphones here and on laptop in that area. I also want to make these responsive. Okay, next thing, let's start to give some borders on these. At least one border below. And we do this, and let's create the color black. Where is black? Okay, it's okay. Let's just comment this to the form for now. Go. For now, let's also give some padding top. X no py, just not be on top of this. Actually, let's give more padding to center. Yeah, it is too much now. UI 32 maybe. Yeah, so you can see that better without being glue at the top. Okay, keep going. Now let's just do some styling on these, on the header. And let's do class name between. Let's decrease the text, yeah, text size, font, semi-bold, tracking wide, yeah, and let's better that left. Okay, uh, we just style that first cell, and so what you have to do now is to copy the same class names for all the cell belows. These, 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 and these. Okay, good. I like. Let's keep formatting below now. Oh, let's see how it's. Okay. So same principle. Let's starting maybe with some padding. P3. The point. Okay. Let's also make the test smaller. Text SCM. Good. Here it's good. Here it's good. Good. Okay. So now let's import some icons with the icons. Because here instead of the actions, we want the icons, so we can click here or indeed and here on delete. So we have to look for that icons. For that, we just go here, React icons, just delete. Okay, and since internet was slowing, I just retrieved all of them while not recording. But the thing is, you come here, you find, for example, the edit, we want the edit node, and that one, MD edit node, and we import from here, from right icons. So the only thing that you have to make sure is that two initials are the same as our icon. So this is what we have. You have outline delete, edit node, the checkbox, and the checkbox online blank. Because checkbox are also going to be used here. And so let's start with the actions. Okay, so with the actions, we go. Let's create the span, and with the span, we input here the edit node, which is here, very small at the moment. And let's create another span, but this time for the delete. Okay, so yeah, it is here, but you have to give some styling. Okay, let's think. So for the styling, I think we have to go here and let's increase the font medium. Let's also, we want them aligned side by side. So let's create a grid, block column, and let's items, center. Okay, let's give some margin top. Okay, good enough for now. So what we want to do is insert here the checkbox, same principle, and the outline checkbox. And after to change from checkbox to blank checkbox, you are going to do after the conditional statement on the logic. Okay, instead of true, let's create another span. Okay, there is our checkbox. This there also give some pointer on the cursor. So to do this, we can come here in our span, inline, block, and cursor pointer. Okay, is that why? You can also do the same for here. But here we don't need the inline text case. Let's increase this small. Okay. Okay, little bit better. Here. Okay. And here we also want to do some personal edition. Let's add a badge. Okay, in that way. Maybe. And we can also another span, saying done, class name is going to be equal to p 1.5 text access font medium wider. Green and red. Okay, what you want to do if it's complete, we give a background green, but if it's not complete, we give a background of red. Okay, for now, this is good. Let's just give some errors to see how the table will appear. 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, this looks good enough. After these, we are going to create some models. When we click here, we can actually edit, and after we're going to give some functionality on the table. But yeah, this is how we create a table using Tailwind. But the best thing that we're still going to do is to add some functionality on this later. Okay, for that, we are going to import and install Daisy UI. This will help us create the components. Install Daisy UI, yeah. And what you want here is to return here an input, and after you want also a button here. But for the class names, we are going to use the one from Daisy, which is similar to Bootstrap, where you are using preformat class names like btn to quickly style the input and the button. Okay, now that internet is a bit better, let's install Daisy UI. Is npm install Daisy UI. Okay, and after they say to add this on our Tailwind config file, it's going to be here in plugins, require, yes, and after this is installed, this is going to work. And we are going to use some text inputs, for example, that one. We can after just copy, and we're also going to use the button. Okay, now that Daisy UI is installed and we have rerun the serving, so this is practically working. So now we want to get this, yes, this input. So you just have to, we can copy these, all of these, but we have the placeholder, and we just need the class name too, because the type is also text. And this, what I like about this, oh, we forget to and comment this, and voila, we have our input here. We just have to match things. Okay, here we are going to, instead of type here, we're going to say add to do. If you remember here, we gave a lot of padding. Where is it? Here, which is not needed. Maybe let's give like height. But where you have to give like padding, it's here. So I don't know if I'm going to do here or in the to do form. I can just give like some padding bottom here. And I think the problem, yeah, I think it's solved that way. Okay. Okay, we just now have to add the button. So we are in the Daisy UI component. And here we have all the things that we can add. For example, badge, input, button. Okay, button, it's here. Let's move here. Let's refresh again. Okay, and for a button, we want, yeah, let's say that one. So we just have to copy this into form here. And there is, let's just give some margin left to, okay, it's good. Okay, so I think it's good. I prefer give like a little more padding margin here and not much here. So maybe day 12, and year. So yeah, and that's here. So these are going to be, so the design is done. So the only thing that we are going to do is add the functionality now. So here we add like the nodes that we add. We click in the button and it is supposed to add a new node. After you can check and check, it's going to edit the status here, and we can edit and delete. But before that, just call that button add to add to do. Okay, it's good. So let's go for the functionality. So okay, now what you have to do is to actually fetch the data here and retrieve that data in that tab, in here, and we are going to pass that information to the table, create a for loop to retrieve this. Okay, so let's go. First, we will we need to have use effect, but let's create fetch data function const, and to fetch we have to create an async function because we are going to do with Axios. Speaking about Axios, we haven't installed Axios yet. Install Axios. Just npm y Axios. Okay, Axios is installed, so let's keep going. So first, so to make a request with Axios, the model that we use, the template, is almost all the time like that one. And log here. So what we want to try, first you have to get the response. Here you have the weight, use Axios, get, and here we want to retrieve this. And see if everything is going smoothly. We are going to log the response. But we haven't called it anywhere. So this is why we need the user effect. Okay, so use effect. We use empty brackets here just to make on requests when loading the page. And what you're going to call is actually the fetch date. Okay, so let's see if everything is doing well. Okay, we have to import Axios. Axios from Axios. Let's try again. And yes, as we can see, we have made a request and you have the data here. So we actually are retrieving the data that we create in our backend, and we are passing it to the front end. So to finish this, let's just set the to-dos equal with the data that we fetch. But not here. To-dos with the response and rejoice. Going to log here. To-dos. Let's try again. Refresh. Let me see the components. Okay, yes, we have our state, we have the data here. It passed. I think it's a console log. It's not retrieving because of the loading. Maybe you have to correct for this after. But yes, we can see our state. Yes, we can see that our state as of the to-dos has the objects here. Okay, so now we have the to-dos. We just have to pass it forward to the to-dos. So this we're going to pass that prop. To-dos going to be equal. And we can also do this first set to-dos equal. It is just for us to pass it to the table component. Yeah. So here it is. Let's just do some restructuring. Set to-dos. We need merge less rows now. And delete more too. Okay. Okay, so now what we need is to map this in the body. So to item the index. Yes, and if I want to return this seems a little confused and can agree it's quite messy. We put this here. And let's see if everything's okay. This looks good, looks good, looks good. And Let's see in the console what's happening. Okay. Hmm. Okay, if nothing appears, but I probably know why that error it is. I think we are trying to do a loop in the to do, but there is still no information in the to dos. So because in the time that the fetch data it's loading and you are passing that information on the page, there is no data. So it says that to-do maps not a function. So what you have to do is to create loading first. You have to load the data, make sure that you load the data, and only after that we can display here. Going to add another layer of complexity. That's doable. Let's create a constant set is loading. Our initial state is true. We want that is loading, and okay, here actually is response not data. And here, let's say state is loading. False. Okay. After retrieving the information, we're not more loading. Cool. So João is now to pass another prop. That way. Retrieving here. Props are funny. And now we have to make sure that loading it's equal to false, so you can display this information. So if this is loading, we're going to display a div that says is loading. And only that we can pass this. So we're going to put this on the fragment. Okay, cool. It's working. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's looping like 4 times. So what is actually doing here is like very important. So after we have the information in the to-dos, so when it's not more loading, so after doing this, we can actually, if it's loading, you cannot see, but it's a very quick brief period when it says it's loading. And when it's loading is equal to false, so when you have the information, you can loop in the map. So now we have to display this. Instead of alarm, we are going to do item dot body. Yes, as you can see, you have the tasks here. Span. Actually, let me add some lines here. So we have to do order B. Yeah, I think that way it's better. So we actually want also pass a key. The key is going to be to do item a unique key dot id. Okay. Now you want like if is what we want to do here. If it's complete, it's equal to false, our checkbox is going to be empty. If complete is equal to true, we want that one. So what are we doing here is do item dot check if this is true, we want this. If not, you want that one. Okay, let's put it in our line. It's getting crowded. Okay, let me see there. Okay, it's good. MD outline in checkbox to item outline and blank. All of them appear blank. Next also here make a title. Title going to be just to confirm. What actually the title do is when you I saw it was logging. It's when you hover, it actually appears information. I think it's not appear anything. Just that again to okay, it's over, but now it's over the ID. Just me try this. Okay, no information. Okay, the answer here it is not checked, it's complete. That's why it does not appear any information. And now we have that one is only one that's true, the to do for, and now we have with the ternary operator, we just have made that checkbox appear complete. So next. It's here. Okay. To have more space, I will open this because this is going to help. Okay, what we want to do now is to turn these red and saying incomplete when it's not checked, when the checkbox is false, and done when it's checkbox. So to do that, we will have to do that way. Okay, we don't need this. We're going to use so that you can actually uh, changing this class. So going to be $, sign, and if to do it's complete, we're going to say another ternary operator. No. Else you enter it. I think this is enough to it's not defined. Ah, this is actually a string. Yes, and we can see we have done this. Now we have to do the same thing. Let's, you can see it can get complex. Let's make this on here. So the principle is the same. Now we have done for the class, but now we are going to do for what it's appear done. Incomplete. We forgot to add string again. Yeah. Voila. Perfect. Hey, it's getting nice. Okay, now we have done the stages. We just need the data. Okay, for the data, we are going to need to format these because you are going to see if you do what was the name that we created. Okay, created. If we do the created that way, we're going to have that ugly data. So we have an easy way to actually convert this in a more beautiful way in JavaScript. So you just have to do data, create date, and we convert it to local string. And using that method, yeah, match beautiful that way. So we have now the, the day and hours. Okay, so we have done the most things. We have doing the styling. We create the main things, the backend it's done. Now we just need to add the functionality. So to actually add data here to be able to toggle the checkbox and to be able to edit and delete. So let's do this. Let's start with creating new to-dos. So to create new to-dos, we go to to-do form. And here we are going to create a new state. It's going to be new to-do, set new to-do, going to be equal to use state and something imported here. And let's create an object because we want using the patch method. So our body going to be empty for now, and let's create an handle change that will change our input. So what we want is to set the new to do when input is changing. So we are going to get the previous state and pass the previous attributes, and the body is going to be equal to e target dot value. So here on the inputs, we are going to add that method, or that function, in that case, that is handle change. And also want to set the value of a control form. It's going to be new to do and dot body. Let me see if that's right. Value new to do dot body. Let's also log here the new to do. Okay, so it's actually getting updated. Good. Okay. So now when we click this button, you want to add a new to do with the information that we wrote here on here. That's going to be incomplete, and the data created is going to be generated automatically, and the checkbox is supposed to be false. Okay, so for this we have to add one click here, but for one click in the button we also have to create a new function that's going to post the to do on here, but also it's going to update at the same time our new list of to dos. Let's create the function post to do, where we have to create a post request now. So same format. We are going to try axios dot post and here so you are going to post on here and what you want to post is the date, is the new to do. Let's just finish. Task 6. Oh, we forgot. Here on click, post that to do. Just doing the refresh. Axios is not defined. Yeah. Let's import here also. Okay, as you can see, the data was posted successfully. We can go here, the network, and we can see we made successful push requests. Okay, this is the get. Was that one the post? It was successfully created, and this is the response that we sent. That was here. But as you can see, we don't have the data that is appear here because it update here, but it's not updating on here on our to-dos. So there is actually a lot of ways that you can do to update the to-dos here. And if we do like the refresh, we're going to have added here, but we want to add that automatically. So first we have to come here. We want to set to-dos, and you also want to import, or better, to get from the parent the fetch data. So the set to do is going to be the same. Set to do's, and you want also to use the fetch data. Good. So now we can use them on here. And so now it's easy. So here, after we do the post method, we can also do, at first do this, set to do's. It's going to be the previous to do's and we are, you want the previous to do's plus the new to do. And after we update these, we want to fetch the data again. To do 7. Okay, and you can see is being updated instantly. I just try one thing. Yes, as I'm expecting. To do 10. Yes, I'm expecting that step is actually redundant because we don't need to add the data um, again on the to-dos in the React because we are fetching it again from our race framework. So this step is not necessary. We just need to call the fetch data again because this is going to add the data on here. And after we fetch it again to retrieve the new list. Okay, so one step unless. One thing that I want to do that it's better for user experience is actually each time that I click on here, I have to add, I have to click on add to do, but it would be good if I could also press enter and add that information. So for this, we're going on inputs. We're going to call the on key down. And we are going to state if the key pressed it's equal to enter, let's post the to do. It is another way instead of just clicking, we are going to trigger just by pressing enter. So let's say to do 11, I click enter, the request is made, and the to do 11 it's here. More on thing, let's just set the new to do to empty. So it disappears from here. Okay. Let's set the new to do. Our body is going to be empty. Refresh. To do 12. Enter. As you can see, it appears. Okay, and with this we have a lot of to-dos. And yes, we still have a lot of to-dos to make. I have to edit, to delete, and to change this, but it appears to go good. 14 to-dos. Okay, so let's go for our next step. So I think we finish with the form. All the things are going to be handled here. Let's go with delete so you can actually delete some stuff because getting crowded or to the list. So let's create a const and delete. It's going to be an async. And we are going to delete. To delete, we are going to need the ID. So what you're going to do when you click here, we retrieve the ID, we make a delete request that it's going to send the information to delete on the database. So let's do this. Try and catch error. Also log error. Okay. Now axios dot delete, and for this we need because this is not going to be on that link. It's going to be, for example, in that thing, in that URL. So his path has to be dynamic, so we can delete here. So to be dynamic, we add this, and here it's going to be the ID. Okay, I think it's good. Let's try. Oh, before we try, we actually have to add down click. Going to be here. Okay, we add the one click, the icon. It's going to be function. And just have to call, and I'll delete methods with the to do item dot id. Okay, so let's see if it works. Let's delete the 9 and see we have our okay. So we have a 204, so the delete request was sent successfully, and if we come here, leave refresh, there is no more 9 anymore. So yeah, so we have, if we refresh here, there is no more 9 anymore. So you have to make this in a way that it edits, it deletes, and it updates at the same time when we click. So for this, we can, since we have the to-dos, we can actually update the list here. What we have not done in the to-do form, because we were retrieving the list. Actually, we could do the same way. Okay, but let's do that way. So I can also show you what to do in that way. So we are going to have new lists, and we are going to filter that to do all the to-dos dot id that are not equal to that id, because that id was actually deleted in that step. So we just have created a constant menu list with all the items without that id, and now we set that to-dos list with at least without that id. And let's try again. So if you click here, it's deleting. It's deleting 13, 14, 12, 11, and we have all the requests here. So it's good. So this is going well. So, okay, so now we have to do the edit, and the edit here is going to be interesting because the edit is usually the most complex of all the CRUD requests. Okay, so we actually have two things for edit. First, you have to create a model. When we click here, it opens a model, and we can actually edit tests on there, but we also have to make a patch request to update the state as the previous one when we click on the checkbox. So how we're going to do this, we're going to create a handle edit function that it's going to make a patch request using the ID, and it's also going to have a value so that the value you can use, for example, the body attribute or the completed, depending on which one we are editing. So, okay, let's start for the requests. Const handle edit. Same way it's going to be an async function, but that one is going to have two parameters. Same thing, catch log error, and let's create here a response. Going to be await, but we're going to use the patch method. This is the same, we can just use this, and this is going to be the value. Okay, what actually you are doing here? So we are making patch requests on here, and depending of the value that we are trying to update on this input, it's going to update the value according to that ID. So this is the first thing that we have to do for here. And again, here we can also, as we did in the delete, we can map again a new list. Okay, what he's saying is we are looping in the to-dos, and if the to-do.id it's equal to that ID, the one that you are going to click, you want the new response data, and the new one value that's going to be updated, and if not, just give me the to-do like normal, and set to-dos to be new to-do. Okay, after this, maybe it's easier to handle the checkbox first. id value here. We are going to use the handle edit. Here we are going to pass the id, and this is now where the value is interesting. So here we just want to know about the completed. So the completed is going to be the preview is going to be the inverse of the value. So if it's true, it's going to be false. If it is false, it's going to be true. And this we are going to use on here. Okay, let me see the TD. You don't need the title anymore. There is no problem for lighting there. Okay. So one click. We want bigger. And checkbox, the values going to be toItem.id, toItem.notCheck complete. There is maybe an error somewhere. Let's restart that. Expected token. Okay, so this is telling me that the error is on here. Let me see patch. Okay, still a mistake. This is await action.patch. Let's try again. Moment of truth. Voila. Okay, so this is actually working. So we are like tagging here. If we toggle here, it change the state, and the state is also going to change on here. So we can delete, we can add more. Only thing that we need is to create the model, to edit the test, and to change what's here. Okay, so for that we need a model. As you remember, we have installed Daisy UI 2012 as with this. Yes, I like that one. To open the checkbox. Okay, we copy that. On here. Now, okay, we have to the button to open the model. It's going to be this one. So I think the best way is to include the label. Where is it? Okay, it's going to be the span, going to be inside span, and our trigger is going to be the icon. And if you do this, we don't need that. Okay, it's working. Next step is actually to add an input here and some buttons. So let's go. Okay, correlation random is not what we want. What we want is university indeed todo. Okay, and after that we don't want these, we actually want an input. The input is going to be input. Are the inputs text input. Let's use text input with form controls. No, that one is fine. Next, for the modal action label. Here we want to in the class of buttons, so that one going to be edit here class. Going to differentiate them, let's say button primary. Yeah, let's just do some margin top here. And yeah, yes, max width, let's remove. Okay, looking good. So actually now, if we do this, it's closing. Do edit, it's also closing. You just do nothing. So you have to create some functionality for this. So first, we have to create a new state for the edit tests. Edit text. Here set edit text to be equal to use state and body going to be empty. Okay. Now we have to create another change. So when you write here, it's going to update the state of the new edit. So we can write here and change going to be equal to e here use just make one log c and target dot value if it's handling the change correctly. One change, use this. Okay, it's working. So we want to set edit in the new text, going to be the previous. And now to do this, use attributes, going to be the same, and body going to be equal to p dot target dot value. Dot value. So that to be sure, also log and edit text. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so now we have handle change here. We just want to set the function. When you click edit, it's going to trigger that handle edit and that you can actually edit the data. Okay, we can literally edit here. One click, and we can put input here. For me, looks like that's going to be very messy. But yeah, let's try. So when this is called, you want to call handle edit, and it's going to be do dot id, and here it's going to be the edit test. This is why I went with it. Okay, so let's try. Task 5 edit. Do is not defined. Okay, okay. Because we are not more inside the loop. It has to be. It will be to do item.id, but you are not more inside the loop. Do you know what? We can actually use these because when we click on here, we actually have the ID that is corresponding. So that way, instead of do ID, I will do the text dot ID. Yes, actually, if I want to do this to retrieve the ID, I have to here one click going to be set edit text to the to do dot item. Okay, so here actually passing all the objects. So we are not going to have the body, but we have also the ID that I created. And the ID is going to be retrieved here so that we can actually pass on the function above. But there is some more errors. I'll tell you when I say that the edit part is the messiest one. Okay, error. Too many renders, real limit. It's not this. Fine, okay. It has to be that way. You know what? It is getting messy. So I just create here another function. And I'll click and we're going to handle a click here. Be equal. Okay. Let me see what happens if you do that. Save first. God, okay, we have time for some debugging now. Let's make control form here. Text dot body placeholder. Type here. Actually, don't need a placeholder because this is going to be the text. Okay, that was tricky, but we found the mistake. So here we had just the on-click set edit text to do item, and this is what was creating the error. So for this to be rendered correctly, in other words, when we click, we first have to put that on an inline function, so that setting them text will only be triggered when you actually click, like in that sense. Yeah. Okay, after now, I think we just have to refresh the server again, but everything should look like, because you have the handle click, but handle click will push that function. It's going to handle the ID. So we're going to retrieve the ID, with the updated text. So let's give it a try. The good thing is also here we set a value to the edit test.body. So when we click here on the edit, it's going to update the state of the edit text and it's going to appear here. So let's make a task edit. Yeah, perfect. So yes, we did it. So finally we have all the CRUD. Okay, maybe we don't have everything. So when I click edit again, okay, we have to clean this each time we click on edit. But I think that's going to be easier to do. So we just have to set edit text to site body. That. Let's make a refresh again. Before to do perfect. Yeah, so now things are working correctly. To edit, let's delete, delete, delete. Check the boxes. Yeah, done, done, done. Add more to. Go to shopping. Take a walk. Okay, so everything we have done, we can delete. But shopping, no. Let's go. Go running. Go to running. And we delete here because it's duplicate. Okay, so everything is working properly. So yeah, so this is how to do a to-do list app using React and Django. As you saw, like the backend is very simple. So we just let's make a quick recap. So in the backend, what we just did, it was we just create the model. First, we create the to-do app. So in the model, we create a simple model using the car fields, the booleans, and the date time field. This is the body that we use to actually make the text. And these values are completely updated when you add a new instance. That not this one, that one too. These one are the two that we can change, the body and the completed. So in the model after we serialize to create a JSON type object. After serialize, we use the views, and the views we use the view set, model view set, which is very easy to make a query. With this, we create the URL by the router, we register the to do, and after that, we get all the information on here. So with this, we could do everything. So the only thing that we had to do after it was to integrate the app, the backend in our front end. Just change here something to do, right? Yeah, you have that to do. So here we create just two components. We made the design using using a Tailwind and Daisy UI. After that, we just create two components, simple. One of that was the table, and one of that was that input form. And the only thing that we have to do after it was just to integrate, to create the, the fetching methods using Axios to give some functionality in the buttons when we were developing the app. And after that, we are made to do like a complete CRUD app where you can delete, edit, and also edit here and add more. Okay, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked it and you want to look for more Django and React applications, I'm going to do much more in the future, so you can subscribe in the channel because I'm going to do much more content on this. And is a simple, rather a simple app, but very complex at the same time because when you do the beginning, the main CRUD operations, actually we can do everything. It's like the basis for everything.